This is how you know I haven't worked at this desk in a hot minute. Please. I really did it. We bought these bags. They're so pretty. Pink, blue. I think I like this one the most. But I love this green. I love pastel. Like, oh my god, it is so pretty. So I finally got my first poetry acceptance of 2025. This is actually the first poetry acceptance I've gotten in a little under 2 years, actually. My last poetry acceptance, I think it was maybe July of 2023. And so the publisher sent me their proof online for me to review, and it looks so good. I think the poem is gonna be out by the time I upload this, so I guess I can show you a bit later what it looks like. They're using a tool where I can flip through the pages. I don't know if there will be a physical version of this. I'm in their inaugural, that's the right word, right? That's how you pronounce it. I'm in their first issue ever. It's not gonna take me long to proof this. You can hear the pages because this is kind of like the shortest poem I so far have published. I think there are 11 lines. And this is just what the proof looks like. And I kind of don't want to open it actually. April 30th, coming soon. Hi, I know I just jumped straight into this video without an introduction. So if you're new, hi, my name is Kelly. I'm a science fiction and fantasy writer, and I make videos about my writing journey on this channel, or maybe the lack of writing. It just depends. And if you're not new here, you're probably wondering, Kelly, where have you been? Where have you been? I will give a more in-depth life update towards the end of the video, but because it's heavy and I don't want to talk about it, we're just gonna do it at the end. In the meantime, come hang out with me at my favorite local bookstore while I pick up some books on this beautiful spring day. And oh my god, I can't wait to start reading. They're so pretty. These nails are so pretty. I could honestly write a poem about these. Look at the gold and the green. Oh my god, the pink and the white. Actually, I think there's gold here too. This is what I think space would look like. We're gonna do all the updates now. God, I'm so nervous. I haven't filmed in so long. I don't even know where to begin. So just I guess a quick refresher is that I'm currently working on 2 books at the same time, but it's not as glorious or as wonderful as that sounds. It's actually just me working on one book for a couple of months at a time, or even a couple of weeks at a time, and then I kind of switch gears. I don't recommend this, and it's not something that I wanted to do. It just kind of happened to be like this. So I'm gonna close the windows, and then I'm gonna talk about my young adult fantasy, which is something that I've been working on for a long time, but we have a lot of good updates on this. So I pretty much revised the first act again for literally the 20th time. I don't even know how many iterations the first act has been through, just because when I started writing this project, I was a relatively new writer, and this book has been workshopped. My friends Chris and Lynn, and also my friend Claire, I'm like nervous. They gave me feedback to this book, so I have reactions to Chris and Lynn in this video that I'll link down below so if you want to watch it. I finally made changes based on their comments, and there are 3 things I wanted to go over with you because I think how I implement beta feedback is something that you guys might be interested in. Here's my revisions checklist across all 3 of my beta readers. They all relatively said the same thing, which I like more than if I got like totally different feedback. These 3 things are kind of the similar threads I pulled across my friends' notes. So the first was structure, because the pacing was a little too slow, or it was just not really that well paced. So what I did is that I changed the chapter structure so that the first chapter ended on what I call a mini shooketh. I'll explain more later. And chapter 2 ends on the inciting incident. And this is definitely the best way to revise the young adult fantasy, because if you read a lot of young adult fantasy, you'll notice that that is kind of the, I guess, unofficial structure that these books tend to follow. So if you just go on Google Preview and look up any like popular 2025 fantasy books, you'll kind of see that the first
chapter ends kind of on a mini shooketh. I use the word shooketh a lot. It's something like my friend Melissa and I would talk about. A shooketh generally just means something that shakes the main character's world. So your main character is doing their projected path and then boom, something happens and their whole world changes. So it's not quite like an inciting incident. I honestly am still trying to put into words what the difference between like a shooketh and an inciting incident is. They are kind of close, but I think inciting incident is more the thing that happens that makes a character decide whether to pursue something or not, and that's where the story starts. Whereas the shooketh is just like something that shakes the main character's world in a way that they didn't foresee. And so what I call a mini shooketh is not something that is quite as drastic, something just like a little bit unexpected, but still manageable for the character to handle. I guess that's how I would describe it. So yeah, I put a mini shooketh at the end of chapter 1, and this is so readers can, I guess, be more interested in continuing reading, and it sets up stakes and it sets up what's going to happen next. It actually works out pretty well. It's not like I had a mini shooketh that I had to create upon this revision. I already had, like, it was already in the chapter. I just made it so that it ended on that like mini shooketh. All right, let me know if you have any questions. I don't know if I'm making sense right now. So as I think I said, I changed the end of chapter 2 so it ends on an inciting incident. And initially I had an inciting incident at the beginning of chapter 3, but across all my beta readers, they said that it was just like a little bit slow. They weren't sure exactly where it was going. And for YA fantasy, like pacing is fast. So I think this was a way better decision. I wrote here, why am I doing this? Because I need to have better pacing throughout the first 4,000 words actually. Before I go on, if you've been getting value out of this video, please click that thumbs up button so YouTube can recommend this video to other writers like yourself. All right, what else did I change? What else did people say about? They told me that, well, I think across all 3 readers, they had no idea what was going on. There were a lot of questions on context and clarity. So in this case, I bundled context and clarity in the same way I addressed them, just because it happens to be the case for me. So what I mean by context is I mean like the lore of the world and the setup. What are the magic system? What are the rules? Just that kind of context needs to be a little bit clearer because I kind of went straight into it. And that also ties into clarity, because clarity is essentially, does this make sense? Like what's going on? And so these two things tied together for me because I needed more clarity on the context essentially. So what I did was that I kind of just did more telling or more exposition. I added way more exposition, and I especially tried to make this more clear in the prologue because there are a lot of people are very divided between like a prologue or no prologue, but I have a prologue in this book, and the reason why I do is because I really like the main character, or the character who I'm following, the POV character in the prologue, and 2, this is a fairy tale retelling, and almost all fairy tale retellings have a prologue of some sort, and I really wanted to maintain kind of like that integrity, I don't know if that's the right word, of a fairy tale. So yeah, just a combination of me liking the main character and the integrity of a fairy tale, and also you get more information through the prologue. That's why I think the prologue is important in this case and why I want to keep it in for the book going forward. I just think it helps understand what's going on. And so because my readers didn't know what was going on, I actually thought that was more of a fault in the prologue. So I ended up adding a lot more to the prologue in terms of exposition. And I think that's something I'm learning about myself, is that I tend to keep things like mysterious to a fault where people don't know what's going on, and I don't want that. I want people to know what's going on, but also want to keep reading to kind of unravel the mystery. And that's pretty much most of the effort of the solutioning of the context and clarity. I front-loaded it to the prologue, but I did add it throughout the rest of chapter 1 and chapter 2. Yeah, and then the last thing I have here is stakes. So stakes also kind of falls into context a little bit, and when it comes to, I think, YA fantasy like specifically, but all spec genre, it's kind of like what happens if your main character doesn't get what they want? Why do we want them to not fail? And why are we rooting for them? What happens if they do fail? I really needed that to be clear, because if that's not clear, then the whole book doesn't make sense because there's something that drives my main character and he needs to do this. And if that's not clear, that's a big problem. So I tried to make that really clear as well. I did all this actually at the end of February, and it is the beginning of May now. Why did I do this? Wait, before I talk about why I did this, not only did I do this checklist for the first 4,000 words, I also brushed up my synopsis. So I wrote a synopsis last October, I think, or last November, just for funsies because I heard it was really hard and I wanted to try it out. And it was actually like relatively easy for me. I think writing is way harder than writing a synopsis, so that's why I guess I didn't view it as that difficult. And because the story has been with me for a long time now, like I've been working on this for literally years. Because the story is so in me, that was relatively easy to write out the synopsis. If you are not familiar with the synopsis, I think Lynn has a good video on synopsis actually. It's essentially a summary of your book written in 500 words. So I believe a typical synopsis is 500 words, single space. I think that's what I ended up writing. I can't remember right now. And it's not like a query letter where you're just pitching it. It really is a summary of your book and hitting the big beats. So I took my synopsis from October and I revamped it. And guys, my synopsis, I think is really good. I think my synopsis is even better than the query. And I also brushed up my query letter. I ended up using this package to apply to Tin House for the spring workshop. Tin House is essentially one of those, I think it's a renowned writing workshop. They're mostly known for their summer writing workshop, which is over a week long, and you get to work with industry experts and you get to build a community. But I couldn't do that one just because like I didn't want to do that one, I guess, because it's like way too many vacation days for this thing that you're not guaranteed anything. So I applied for the spring workshop. It was a YA workshop. And where am I going with this? Well, I got into the workshop, so that's pretty much what's been happening. I got the email for my acceptance a few weeks ago, actually. I wanted to vlog it. I got it on Earth Day, which I love. Earth Day, like that Earth Week is one of my favorite weeks ever. I thought that was like a sign I had to do this workshop. Essentially, I have a query package that's ready, and I'm really proud of this query package. I think it's really, really strong. So agents, I'm coming soon. So Tin House is happening, and by the time you're watching this, like I think in a few weeks, so we'll see what comes out of it. I'm being mentored by Aiden Thomas, so really excited to work with him. I really want to read Cemetery Boys before I go, and my friend who did work with Aiden Thomas in the past told him that I got in. He obviously recognized my pages and told my friend that he loved them. So yeah, I feel like a little bit of imposter syndrome, but also I feel like this book is just waiting for me to really focus and really work on it because I've been kind of stuck in this first act for like 2 years. I actually did workshop this with Maggie Stiefvater like 2 years ago. And I think one thing that I'm really curious about is that all these like problems that my critique partners and beta readers told me was not something that Maggie told me necessarily. And I think it's because Maggie read the query letter, and I guess when you're an agent, you read the query letter so you know what it's about, so you know what the stakes are. So I don't know how much of that goes into if you don't know anything about the book at all, like beta readers, right? You just hand your book to beta readers, they don't really know the general summary of it. So, but anyway, I think these changes, like, so good. Like, thanks to Chris, Lynn, and my friend Claire for giving me such good feedback. I think it really paid off in this case. So yeah, that's the biggest writing update. I see I talked for 15 minutes already. I had wanted this video to be a vlog, but I just don't have the mental creativity capacity to vlog right now, so we're just gonna do kind of like all the updates. So some other writing updates is that I came up with 3 new short story ideas, and this is kind of really big for me because I haven't been really creative recently, and I haven't been feeling creative, and to get new short story ideas is amazing. The last time I wrote a short story was over a year ago, and I wanted to share that with you guys, like the ideas, because I typically don't share ideas, but I think the audience is asking for ideas, and because the YouTube space, authortube space, is mostly like novels, I feel a little bit more comfortable sharing my short story ideas. So the first short story idea that I came up with is centered around a bathhouse, and I really am obsessed with Severance. Like, we haven't talked about Severance at all here, but I love Severance so much, and I really love the opening shot of Severance when Helly just wakes up. So I wanted this main character to just wake up and she's like being scrubbed down by like a tiny lady who is seemingly afraid of her. I went to the spa for the first time a few weeks ago. That's how I came up with this idea. And so the bathhouse, it feels like you can do a lot with it. So I'm really excited to write about that one. Of course, it's gonna be science fiction, and I already told my husband everything about it. So I'm really excited to kind of like write that eventually. The second story idea that I came up with it when I was on a lunch break at work, and I was just thinking, imagine I can just plug myself into like a VR simulation and be in Hawaii right now. And it made me think about our dependence on technology. We don't really view ourselves as being addicted to technology, but I kind of want to show that in a way that is an addiction. And so the third short story that I want to write, this one is going to be, I think, a micro, so it's going to be less than 500 words. I really like the idea of a really small innocent child asking things around them, are you real? So it's like the children's book, like, are you my mother? Except it's, are you real? Because right now in our society, we're dealing with so many like literally fake things, AI written stuff, AI generated stuff, bots. I don't know how exactly I'm going to write that yet, but yeah, some thoughts I had. The only new thing that I actually have written since the last time we spoke is a poem. So I wrote this poem called Red for Envy and Red Particle Days? No, Red for Envy and Fine Particles Day. When I write poems, it's usually because I have a lot of strong feelings that I want to capture in a moment, and I usually put a speculative twist on it just because I think it's more fun. I think it's more evocative. If I feel sad that my boss at work is being mean to me, I probably wouldn't exactly, okay, that's not true, but I probably wouldn't exactly say that in a poem like that exactly, because I don't feel like that's as fun. The poem would be about like being on a circus in space and I'm one of the whatevers following the ringmaster. That's something that I would more likely to say based on these strong feelings. So anyway, I had a strong feeling about something and I wrote it in a poem, and I really love to sell it. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite poems I've written. It's also dark and sad. I think the reason why these short stories have been all leaning towards like dark and sad, and well, I guess not the bathhouse one, but the other two, because we're in a very interesting period of history right now, especially with the emerging technologies and the current administration. So both of those have been giving me, I guess, not necessarily positive feelings about our future, but it makes for a really interesting story. So anyway, I veered so far from my initial days of writing about solar punk to like more dystopic technology will eat us vibes. And it's not to say that I don't like technology. I'm actually very immersed in the world. I studied computer science in school and I work in a tech company, but it's just a lot of it's happening, I think, all at once. That's it for the writing updates. Now we can talk about some life updates. I got engaged in April and I got married in April, and that's been the biggest life change that has happened so far, or that's been the biggest life change since the last time you saw me. We always knew we were gonna get married, but we always knew we were gonna get married, period. And he started the process of creating the ring, like the engagement ring, the one I'm wearing now. But it took a long time to make, so we ended up picking a date to get married. And then the ring came, so that's why it was happening like back to back, because we were gonna pick the marriage date once I got like officially proposed, but we just ended up picking like a marriage date, and then the ring came. So that happened in April, and it was really stressful actually. You know, nothing's new about the other stuff going on in my life. I work a full-time job, I have a second job, I have my own editing business, and to be honest, and I volunteer at Augur Society. I'm actually lead editing an issue this year, so I don't know if you saw the posts, but yeah, I'll be a lead editing. I mean, I've been already doing the work for it, but my issue is coming out in November, I think. Honestly, like balancing these three things recently has been one of the hardest things that has happened to me. I'm also going through a lot of like health stuff too. So on paper, it sounds like a lot of good things are happening. Like, you know, I got the Tin House acceptance, I got my poetry acceptance, I got married, I got engaged, but your girl's stressed. I was not doing well, like physically, mentally, financially. It was a very big mess, but I'm kind of coming out of that, so I feel more comfortable to vlog now. Yeah, I've been officially diagnosed with asthma. Yeah, I mean, it's really sad because my whole life I avoided literally anything that dealt with my lungs, like vaping, smoking, like bongs, and I think it stemmed from the fact that I'm allergic to cats, like my cats. So I developed allergies to my cat like years after I got them, and I think that triggered the asthma. So yeah, I've been going through stuff with that. Beginning like I think stress hives or something. If you saw my last video, like my face was red, so went to see doctor for that. Yeah, the balancing between my freelance projects and my work has really been getting out of control, and also like the life stuff. I was planning a wedding. It's impossible to do everything. I don't want to sit here and complain because everything that I said in my December video is still true. So that meant to me that I didn't actually take myself into consideration. I kind of just wanted to power through, but I'm at the point in my life where I've actually decided that I no longer want to pursue this like creative endeavor of YouTube and editing. I've decided that I really just want to focus on my corporate job, like do a really good job at my corporate job, and focus the rest of my attention on writing. I've already made an announcement on my website for my editing business that I'm not taking on any new clients for the rest of the year, and I'm most likely extending that until 2026 because at this point, like, I'm very stressed out. I get a lot of anxiety and I don't feel like myself because I'm always doing work, I'm always in front of a computer, and especially when it's a really nice day and your friends are asking you to come hang out with us and you have to say no because you took on additional work, it doesn't feel really good. And I've been feeling like that for the past like 3 years or so, to the point that like even when I go on vacation, I did travel to Taiwan in the middle of March, and I was under so much deadlines. I didn't really enjoy myself on the trip because I was constantly being anxious that I'm not going to get this done in time. I've had back-to-back clients since February and I'm not wrapping up with client work until June. So until I wrap up all my client stuff, I don't feel comfortable to like vlog or to make YouTube videos or even to write. I get a lot of anxiety if I do something else other than the client work at hand. And plus I have like other work with Augur and things like that. So the reason why I haven't been posting is all those reasons. When I'm in that like fight or flight mode with so many things going on, I'm just not creative and I don't feel the need to be creative. So that's why I was saying that having all those ideas recently about my short stories was actually a huge relief to me, and it made me feel like I'm starting to become my normal self again. So I talked for a real long time. I hope I don't have anything stuck in my teeth now because I'm not going back and recording all this again. I will never quit like making YouTube videos, but I don't foresee myself, I don't even know, like yeah, I will never stop, but just know that I'll never stop making videos. It's too much ingrained in myself, and I really do enjoy this community, and I really enjoy watching other authortubers videos. And then my mom was like, when are you posting your next video? She was like, I refresh your page like every day. And then she asked me, do you think your other viewers are doing that too? And I was like, I don't know, I have no idea. But if you are, like, thanks for sticking out with me this far. Also, thank you for all the messages saying congratulations to me on Instagram. When I said I was married, I didn't expect that much support from you guys, and it made me really happy because I was just really stressed. I was not doing well. So my camera did overheat, which means we need to wrap it up. I really don't think I'm gonna vlog for the remainder of today or ever. I mean, like, until Tin House, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'll show you one thing. The kitties, I don't know what the kitties are, but I finally got the kitties over. They were with my parents after I moved in here, and my parents went to Taiwan first, so we brought the kitties over, and then I went to Taiwan. They like to chill in my, I guess I'll show you guys. They can go down here and like up to the what are these called, like drawers. Sometimes I find them chilling here. Oh, we have a Kumimi here. Hey, hi Kumimi. I'm able to pull it out completely, but he's sitting really weird right now, so we'll just leave him be. I think is it Brambles here? No. He could be here. Is he here? We have a neighbors. We have a memories. Oh, where are you going? Okay, fine.